Hey guys, so today I'm coming to you at a different time than usual, but I wanted to share how a mentorship student was able to go and collect $102,000 so far this year. Now, the reason why this is so important is because when this student first came to me, she was having a really hard time getting business owners to not only say yes to her, but at the price point she needed in order to be profitable. Um, and it stems from a lot of different things. Like we're gonna kind of cover in today's detail, like why people don't say yes to you, and like how to get clients to want to pay you a higher price point. Because at least when I first got started with my business, I was really bad at sales. So I started back in 2015, and for the first like 6 months, like the most money I made in a month was about $2,300, and like about a little bit over half of that came from like a cleanup project it was basically charged like $1,100 for that cleanup project, and that cleanup project covered like 3 years. So I severely underpriced it. Right, to put that in perspective, $1,100 divided by 3 years, that's about $47 per month I ended up like charging that person. And I just didn't know how to price things out, so it was like, I just kind of went with whatever I felt was high at the moment. And usually, knowing like what I know now with pricing, like it was super low, and in a lot of cases it caused me not to be able to get the respect from the business owners, and I can never really figure it out because I was like, I'm charging lower and lower price, and like this is a steal. Why is no one really wanting to work with me? And it wasn't until I ended up like really investing in like courses on like negotiation, sales, marketing, and pricing, where I systematically learned how to go and grow a business. And these are the tactics and techniques that I teach our students out of our mentorship program. So also, if you want some help growing your business, like maybe you've been thinking about starting, or maybe you're trying to grow, it's just not quite going the way that you want. Either way, if you want to avoid a lot of mistakes that cause most people to fail, click the link inside the description either above or below the video. I'd love to talk to you. Love to see if I can help you out inside of one of our programs. So, number one, okay, when it comes to growing your business, the first thing is going to be pricing, okay? And we're going to talk about pricing, we're going to talk about value, we're going to talk about sales, because all three of these are intimately linked, right? Everyone thinks that you have to be like a salesperson, like you have to be a great salesperson, I have to know every single comeback, I have to be able to convince people. But it's like, if you understand the value and if you understand your pricing, these two will actually make the sales consultation call a lot easier. And then when you throw with some good marketing, you'll be able to get good quality leads to be able to actually go and like get to like the six-figure level. Okay, so number one, value. Most people that you speak to that have a successful business have money to pay. Now, the challenge that we generally see is like when most accountants and bookkeepers try and get like a monthly price for bookkeeping work above $500 per month, that's when a lot of business owners start clamming up or start giving you a lot of like price resistance. Now, there's two different things you have to think about when it comes to like price resistance. Is it that they cannot pay, or is it that they will not pay? Those are two totally different things. So if someone cannot pay, you really need to evaluate, like, why did you even take a consultation call with that person? Now, in a lot of cases, you can tell approximately how much money someone's going to be making before they get on the phone with you. There's a myriad of research tools. So you can use like LinkedIn to go and like look at what their company research is. You can go use tools like Apollo to see what the research is. A lot of different tools will really go and research that, right? Now, ideally, you're going to be doing business people are doing at least $550,000 a year in top line revenue. That's kind of the entry level point to where we start going into like high ticket pricing. If you're talking to people that are like making, like 100K a year top line, 200K a year, it's a little bit challenging to get them to pay the price point that we need to. And it's not that they're bad people or anything like that, it's just that they aren't quite ready for bookkeeping and accounting services. You see, usually for the smaller businesses, the tax services and the tax planning services are the things that they really want, and the things they really care about, right? Because under the $200,000 per year mark, most business owners are focused on themselves. Like, how can I feed my family? How can I take care of my bills? How can I take care of like, I have to make sure that I actually can pay for their car or whatever. Maybe they bought a boat, right? Even think about that, like people in your shoes. Like maybe if you're under about 100K a year, you're not really thinking about hiring contractors, hiring employees, doing a lot of stuff. You're thinking of how can I make as much money as possible to pay my bills to conserve, right? So we want to start going after businesses that are they actually have a business. They're not a solopreneur, right? Oftentimes you're gonna hear like the one reason why I don't like going after like hairstylists or like barber or personal trainers, because like they're solopreneurs. They're kind of in that zone to where it's like if they can make 200K a year in top line revenue, they're trying to keep $200,000 a year in top line revenue. And it's not until they start, maybe have another contractor under them that they're used to spending money in order for the business to grow. Right? You never want to be someone's first contractor. You always want to be like their second or their third contractor. So they're already used to like maybe having a sales rep or having a virtual assistant or an office admin. And then they're used to having to spend money to go and get qualified help and qualified people to help them move forward to grow their business. Now, in a lot of cases, bookkeeping is definitely needed at that smaller level. Don't get me wrong, but it's generally not a priority for a lot of those business owners that are going to be at that kind of zone. So it's easier to actually sell businesses on monthly accounting, monthly bookkeeping, if they're close to like $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million. Like at that point, the business owner is sophisticated enough to know that they have problems inside their business, and their CPA has generally told them that they need to go and hire like a bookkeeper or an accountant. So it just makes things a lot easier. Now, so that's that first thing we talked about was like, can they actually afford it? So assume that they can afford it. There could be a cash flow thing. So maybe they just invested in something, like maybe they just invested like in a new tractor if they're a farmer, or maybe they just invested like in a new building if they are in like real estate, right? And maybe their cash flow reserves are depleted for the moment. Now, that one can be a tricky one because in some cases, if they have, either lines of credit or they can go get a loan to go and pay for your services, that's something you can help them think through and help them move through. If they don't really have it at the moment in time for whatever reason, okay, then we have to start thinking about when will they have it, right? So we set up follow-up call dates, like follow-up sales call dates in the future for when they say they have the money so that at that future time, they can actually move forward. Now, if you're starting out and you're trying to make money as fast as possible, that can be very, very frustrating because you want to make a sale today, but if you're going to start, really thinking about getting to six figures, that's not a bad thing to have some of the sales not close immediately. Because think about it. Let's say you had 30 sales calls. And if you are good at sales, you would be closing about 50 to 60%. Now, in the beginning, you're gonna close. So let's say let's say it's over a 6-month period. You take 30 calls, right, over 6 months. So day number 1, about 30% of them should get started immediately. That means you will have 10 people that get started with you. Now the remaining 5 people, because remember we said our close rate should be 50%. The remaining 5 people will sign up with you with some date inside of the next 6 months. Now, the reason why it's important is because once you get your first 10 clients, generally what happens is you have a little bit more work, right? And you don't really have as much time to do sales and marketing. So by having those remaining 5 people come on, you can taper off your marketing eventually and then let those other sales that are going to be closing in the future actually sustain you to go get you to the other half of the way. So the first set of clients, when you're heavy in marketing, heavy in sales, that's going to get you that $5,000 per month. The second $5,000 per month that gets you to $10,000 per month is going to come from all those sales that said no, and maybe you're just following up with very periodically. And we teach you what to say in terms of follow up, so you can know how to do it in a way that makes people feel good, rather than just feel like the only reason you're talking to them is just to get money, right? And that just makes things so much easier. Now, so that's when people maybe have a lack of cash flow. Now, the next challenge people face when it comes to this, and this is a challenge that this student was facing a lot of, was that people had the money, but they either wanted to haggle with her or they just said that they didn't have the money. But you can kind of tell if someone has the money based on if you have access to their QuickBooks, their bank accounts are generally linked. So you know how much cash they have. If you're asking for $500 a month and they say they don't have it, but you look in their account, they have $20,000 just sitting there, or $100,000 or $600,000 sitting there, you know they have the money. So really what that comes down to is a prioritization of funds somewhere else. Now, there's a couple of different things that can look like, right? They could prioritize it towards paying someone else, doing another initiative, going inside of advertising. Another place they can prioritize the funds is literally sitting inside the bank account. They would rather have the money sit inside the bank account than pay you for your service. And I know that sounds so crazy to a lot of us, but if we're not able to communicate the value to these business owners, they generally are not really going to act as logically as what you think they would be thinking. That's a big challenge, and this kind of slides into value and slides into sales. So you always have to think about the opportunity cost. And this is like, from economics, if you take economics in college, there's always an opportunity cost. If someone makes decision A, are they better off if they stay in A or if they go to B? And they're always making these like different opportunity cost evaluations, even if subconsciously inside their brain. And if you cannot communicate it in a way that resonates with them, they're always going to choose to keep the money they have today doing exactly what they're doing rather than making a change. Right? In order for someone to make a change, they have to see a very, very, very significant benefit of making that change, or else people kind of do what's called homeostasis. They just do what's comfortable and keep moving. Right? It's almost like a lot of like think about for yourself. If you're more comfortable learning about accounting, you're gonna watch a million videos about learning about accounting. Right? Versus maybe if you're weaker at marketing, you won't watch as many marketing videos because it's just not what you're used to. Right? But it's the same with business owners. They're used to sales, they're used to product, they're used to marketing. And they're not really used to accounting and bookkeeping. So that's why they need you, right? Because they've been pushing this off. And they're only focused on the stuff they care about. So if you cannot really give them a very relevant and valuable reason as to why they should think about this right now, why I should make a change here, then it's going to be very hard. And the problem I see a lot of accountants and bookkeepers have is that we are expecting for them to know what it is, but we ourselves are not able to communicate the value. And I'll even point this out. So my mom was in accounting, right? So that was her career choice. And when I was first getting started, I would be like, yeah, I'm trying to sell these people bookkeeping services, but they just don't. They keep asking like, why do they need it? And she said, what do you mean why do they need it? It's accounting. Everyone needs it. And it's like, it wasn't until I learned later, it's like you have to be able to give someone a reason as to why they need it and communicate an outcome in order for someone to really want to work with you. So the way that I like to think about this, and this is something I had to work with another student on this week. I had to work with a student named Nick to really help him make sales, because a lot of times what happens with accountants, we stop at like, what is the feature? So I'm going to do some AR for you, right? But we never talk about the benefit or reason why it's important, because we assume, coming from a corporate background, that these people actually know what that benefit is. So for example, okay, we're going to do AR. So I'm basically going to help you go and collect on your accounts receivable. Okay, that is the first level. Now, if people do not understand why is that important or what is the outcome of doing that, they're not going to want to pay you the money. Okay, so level one is what you're going to do. Next is, why is that important? Okay, so cool. So right now you are billing, let's say that you are billing $100,000, but you're only collecting 20% of that. That means 80% of the money is left on the table. That means if I can help you with your AR, we can go and, even if we don't get the full 80%, let's say that we go and get like 60% more. That's an extra $60,000 per year that goes straight to your bottom line, because you've already made those sales, right? So it's not like there's more marketing that's going to be like needed to go and get those sales. So I'm essentially helping you go and make more money by just keeping track of the stuff that you guys are already doing. Okay, so that's level two. That's why it's the point. Now, if you notice within there, I said, why is that important? What's at stake? I also gave a monetary amount. So right now they're at 20. They could add 60. That's going to be $80,000 per year. So now when I say my price is like $500 a month, or even let's say it's like $1,000 per month, what they're generally going to do now, let's say it's about $500 a month. Let's say, just to make it like, say 500 times 12 months, that's $6,000. If now I just save them $60,000, 99% of people who are in business are going to say yes to that deal, because they want to pay $1 and get $10 out. That's how most people think when it comes to investing. If they get more than $10 out for every dollar they spend, it's an even better deal. But minimum, they're looking for 1 to 10 ratio. So whenever I'm doing a consultation call, I'm constantly looking for points that I can show that if they pay me $1,000, they're going to get at least $10,000 back every single time they work with me, right? And that is the secret to being able to charge, because then if you can find enough money, and it goes back to that first point I made about like we need companies that are at least above $550 a year, right? Because when you find like, let's say $1 million company, if you help them get like a 1% gain, that's automatically $10,000. So if you can find a 1% gain every single month, right, that's going to be $120,000 right there. So they're going to feel very, very comfortable with paying you $1,200 per month. But again, so number one, we talk about like whenever you're doing a feature, right? It's like, what is the feature? Why is it important / what's the point? After that is, what is the outcome of that? From there we go, okay, so does that make sense? And then you go, do you have any questions about that? Okay, so that should take 5 sentences. So number one, what is it? Okay, so like what is the actual thing you're doing? So I just said AR. Next is like why / what's the point? Business owners are always thinking in their mind, what's the point of this? Okay, you just sitting and do accounting. What's the point of this? Why am I doing this cleanup? Why do I have to like be here and sit with you next to you to like answer like what do these accounts mean? Or like what's the point? Even if they don't say it to you, that is what they're thinking. And one of the worst things is like when they actually do say it to you, because if they say that to you, they're definitely not going to work with you, and you just lost a sale. So you have to be constantly answering that question. What is in it for them? Why is this important? Why are we doing this? Why are we taking the time to do this? Like, why should you take your valuable time to even focus on this? Cool. So that's one example of how you do it. But now the next thing is you have to be willing to stand by your price. So this student who we're talking about, right, when she got to the $102,000 per year, her main challenge was we have pricing calculator tools inside of our program, but she was self-sabotaging. Every time the pricing calculator would tell her it's $1,000 a month, she would actually cut it in half at the last minute just to get the person to say yes, because she felt that every single person did not have money. So there's a couple different things that we did. So number one, I told her like increase her price by about like 1.5x. So that way she could give a discount, but it would still be at the price point we need in order to be like very, very profitable and to really reach our goals. So that was like kind of a mental trick. But then we also started going and like teaching her like, okay, so you have to be communicating about value, right? We talked about that in a couple seconds ago. I just talked about that. But we also talk about the fact that every person who is above a certain revenue number has money. It's just a prioritization of money. The challenge she was facing was that she grew up in a household where money was very scarce, and she was taking that with her into her adult years, and it was causing her to kind of feel that every single person in the world did not have money as well. So once you start kind of understanding like business owners, once you start seeing like their cash reserves or how much credit they have, or even like how much they can sell some of their services for, that's when things get a lot easier. So for example, one example I really love is solar companies. One of their solar roofs sell for anywhere between $10,000 to $30,000 for a residential home. In some cases, if they go to like let's say commercial, that can be $100,000 to even $1 million for those solar panels on like a commercial property. You don't think they can afford to pay you? All they have to do is just go make one sale. And let's say if you're charging $1,000 a month, they make one sale, they've already covered that for the entire year, right? So it's like they have the money. They can go create the money if they don't have it. It's just a matter of if you get these other 3 things working, like where you know your pricing, you can communicate the value, and you have a very simplified sales process where you understand how to communicate, then they should get started with you, no matter what your price is. If they don't get started with you, then it's generally that they are the wrong size business, they don't have the cash flow, they don't understand the value, you're not really just being strong in your pricing, or your sales skills is like not communicating the value well enough for you to be able to get them to prioritize their funds to go someplace else rather than just keeping it inside the bank, right? Now, once you can do that, then it's just a matter of getting the marketing going, and then you're able to go and reach $102,000 a year. And we still have about 2 more months in the year as the time of this recording. So that's what we do in our program. We help you learn how to price it. We help you learn exactly what to say. We help you communicate your value. We help you know your value in a very logical and it's a very objective way to understand value, so you can explain it with full confidence and full certainty, because we're giving you what to look for when it comes to value. Then we show you the marketing to be able to go and get more and more leads. So if you want some help with any of the stuff we've talked about today or any of the videos you've seen on our YouTube channel, go ahead and click the link inside the description, either above or below the video, to book a call with myself to see if I can help you inside of our mentorship program. Okay? I will talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Take it easy and have a good one.